Some of you are saying, well, then, Doc, how do we check in with the Spirit? I'm glad you asked. You know why I hate the phrase trust your gut? Let me explain. When people say trusting your gut, saying trusting your intuition is only as healed as your thoughts and your emotions are on the same page. When your thoughts and emotions are on the same page, your intuition can be trusted. Let me school y'all real quick. Most of you make decisions with your heart first and your thoughts second, especially when it comes to love. Y'all be choosing people because they feel good here first, instead of making sure they feel good here first. If they feel good here first, your heart is deceptive. Your heart has a really good canny way of trying to convince your brain of anything it wants to. So when you trust your gut, listen to me. When you trust your gut, but there is no mental and emotional agreement, you are instantly out of order. So where's the Spirit come into play? I'm glad you asked. There's this word I want y'all to remember that I'm going to make this simple, that is universal, regardless of your religion, your faith, your race, your creed. It don't matter. I want you to put this word in the comment box, comment section, and put it in your journal. Are y'all supporting this show? Yeah. Subscribers, y'all gonna get a good one tonight. I can see it coming because there's no support coming in here tonight. This is crazy. I want you to type a word in the chat that's gonna help you. And this word is universal, regardless of your race, your religion, whatever. And that word is called discernment. Let me give you a layman's example of what discernment is and how to use it. And this connects to those of you that are saying, well, then how do I use my spirit? How do I tap into that? Watch this. Because the spiritual part of you, because you got one, whether you acknowledge it or not, the spiritual part of you gets activated in a very simple way. Watch. Ready? This is just crazy. This is just really crazy good. You want to know when discernment shows up? Discernment activates when your thoughts and emotions agree, but your anxiety don't disappear. Let me school you. Let me show you how your spirit gets activated and how we use it. Let's just say your discernment, let me tell you again, and let me give you an example. Your discernment activates when your thoughts and emotions agree, but your anxiety doesn't disappear. When your thoughts and emotions agree, but your anxiety, what did we say anxiety was? The mental, emotional, physical manifestation of stress. Your anxiety doesn't disappear. Let me give you an easy example. And some of y'all are going to start tapping into something you didn't even know you had. Let's just say you have to make a decision on whether or not to date someone. Let's use something that y'all are always in. Should I love this person? Should I date this person? Should I marry this person? Let's up the ante. Let's say marriage. You've been dating somebody and y'all have been talking and there's been conversation about whether or not to get married. And you've been thinking about it. And you've been maybe praying if you pray. Maybe you don't pray. Maybe you're one of the people that's tuning in and say, Doc, I don't even know if I got a spiritual thing. Perfect. So let's just say you ain't praying or you are praying. Don't matter. You've been giving it some thought. And so you've been thinking about this person. You think you like them. So in your mind, it makes sense. Yeah, we got a history. It makes sense for us to get married. I could see me being with this person. We've been with one another, etc. So mentally, it makes sense. Watch this. Because you're comfortable with them, your heart, your emotions might say, well, yeah, this makes sense. We've been together for 3 years. I know him. He knows me. I know her. She knows me. We know each other's family. We're comfortable. We spend this time on them. We travel. We make these plans. Da, 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 da. So my heart feels very comfortable. My thoughts feel very comfortable. But watch this. Your thoughts and your heart feel on the same page, but something's still not selling. Here we go. And you don't know what it is. Have you ever made a decision where your heart and your mind were on the same page, but you still didn't feel at ease? If you can answer yes to that question, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. If you've ever had to solve a problem and your heart and your thoughts were on the same page, but you still didn't feel at ease. Put a 3 in the chat. You know what that means? That means you need something called discernment to determine what the proper decision is. And I'm going to give you another clue to this. That if, for some reason, you are making a decision and your thoughts and your emotions are on the same page, but you do not feel at ease with it, the best thing that I can advise you to do is to be very careful with that decision. Because you don't even have to know what the problem is when you tap into discernment. All you got to know is that there is a problem. I want to say this again slow. When you tap into this for real, you don't have to know what the problem is when you have discernment. Discernment and tapping into a spiritual you ain't about knowing what it is. It's about just knowing something ain't right. And how many dumb decisions would you have avoided if you, instead of not knowing what was wrong, and you did it anyway, when you didn't know what was wrong, but your heart and your mind agreed, but you still didn't feel at ease, and instead of just going for it anyway, you just said, let me just pause. You know how much problems you would have avoided? So there's your 4-minute lesson. I ain't gonna make this all spiritual tonight, but there's your 4-minute. That's discernment in a nutshell. Discernment activates when your thoughts and emotions agree, but something still ain't sitting right. Oh, that was salad worthy. Y'all not supporting this show. Subscribers, y'all gonna eat. I will have this up before midnight tonight, subscribers, because they not supporting. I'm telling you, you're gonna want this one again, because you gotta hear this again, over and over and over. Yeah, put in the chat levels in all caps. There's levels to this work. That's why I include a spiritual foundation in your healing journey. A lot of counselors, therapists, coaches don't think nothing about none of that. I do. Because sometimes the science will have your thoughts agreeing, the science will have your emotions feeling good, but the science will still have you uneasy. So what you gonna do then? You're gonna need some discernment. And discernment will activate. Your stomach will still be turning, even though it makes sense in your head to marry him. It makes sense in your heart to marry him, but your stomach is still turning. You know what that is? That's discernment kicking in. That's saying, hey, 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 something's wrong. I don't know if you can handle it. Maybe I'm not going to tell you. Maybe I will, but just hold on. The best thing you can do, my friends, is to not do nothing at all. Thank you, Miss Tammany, for your support. I appreciate you, dear. So it's simple. The decisions you make in your life that are going to help to regulate your nervous system need to be decisions where your thoughts, your emotions, and your spirit all agree. If your thoughts, if your emotions, if your spirit all agree, your nervous system is going to be regulated. I like that, Ms. Robinson, another client. Appreciate you and your support. Discernment never lies, even if it don't give you the details. That's a bar. Discernment never lies, even if you don't get the details. Discernment never lies, even without the details. You don't need the details. All you just need to know is something ain't right. Discernment never lies, even without the details. You don't need details. I don't care what your pastor, I don't care what your grandma told you. I'm telling you, you don't need details for discernment. And in fact, I can speak on this. I could do a whole session on this because a lot of the older adults, they ain't got as many degrees as you. They might not be as book smart as you. They might not be as polished as you. But let me tell you something about this older generation that we sometimes try to write off. These older boomers, this lost generation. Upper 60s, 70s, and 80 plus. We try to write them off. They ain't have no whole bunch of degrees. But let me tell you what they could do. They could meet you they be in their 70s, you in your 20s. They meet you and meet your little friend. You bring your friend over to the cookout. Bring him over. They ain't got no psychology degree. Some of them didn't even finish my grandparents didn't even finish high school. Finish school. They didn't make it to high school. They didn't finish high school, no degrees, no nothing. and you bring her to the cookout, you bring him to the cookout, and you introduce them to grandma and grandpa, they shake their hands and be smart and smile and cordial. And then when you ask them, like, grandma, papa, what you think about them? That's not it, baby. That ain't it. Huh? Really? No, that ain't it. I mean, your friend got a great job. Your friend looks nice. Your friend was mannerable. Your friend was respectful. Your friend was nice and kind and was helping out at the cookout. They was doing all of this stuff, and none of that counted. In their mind, it should have made sense. Or in their mind, it probably did make sense. That person did make sense. In their heart, it probably did make sense. But something wasn't settling. And a lot of times when you ask them, what was it, grandma? What was it, papa? Why didn't you like them? A lot of times they didn't have a specific reason. Some of them did. A lot of them just like, I don't know. Something just ain't right. That's called discernment. And that's why I respect the older generation. That's why I miss my grandmother. Because she look at you in the mirror, like, that's not it, baby. Well, grandma, what's wrong? I don't know, but that ain't it. Y'all call it energy off. Energy, spirit. Oh my God. Listen, y'all, I hope this made sense. If it did, I want you to type church in the comments with 3 R's. And then I want you to remember you've got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.